One time for the city. Yeah, same aura as before. The smoke got blowing orange laws, meaning you pursue at your own cause. Last of a breed to do it how we was.
All right, man, we are back. Quick turnaround time for another game of the week preview. You already know, man. Lakers are coming to town to Madison Square Garden. You got Luka Dončić. He had a little bit of a scare, but we're going to see him most likely tomorrow against the New York Knicks. So, you know, I had to bring my guy Trevor Lane back so that way we can break this game down. Salute to Knicks Nation. And I know Lakers Nation is coming through heavy as well. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We're going to talk about everything Knicks and Lakers in this one. Get ready for that game on Sunday, baby. So make sure to stay locked in. Trevor, what's going on, man? How you been? It's been a minute.
It has been. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. You know, I think the last time I was on this show, we didn't know it at the time, but we were days away from the most shocking trade in NBA history. That's what went down the last time the Lakers Knicks played. Are we going to see history repeat itself? Can we get some trade activity on the market? It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
Would that trade activity be for the New York Knicks? Would the Knicks be the major market team? And don't worry, we're going to talk about that because look, man, you know, not only are you the host of Lakers Nation, you're also the host of the Front Office Show. So I'm going to pick your brain about potential trades, especially for one Giannis Antetokounmpo. But before we get into that, man, this is a Knicks centric show. What has been your thought about the New York Knicks this season?
Yeah, you know, I think the Knicks, some questions about their defense, where they need to ultimately get in terms of can they win a championship this year? I think they've got to make some improvements on that end of the floor, but offensively doing very, very well. I know there have been some questions about Karl Anthony Towns' fit, and I'm sure we'll get into that when we get to talking about potential trades for Giannis and all of that. But ultimately, you look at the East, it's still wide open. I see Detroit at the top. I'm not necessarily thinking there's this huge gap between the Pistons and the Knicks. I know there's some concerns about from Knicks fans right now about the record against above 500 teams. I get that. But this is a good team. This is a good team that has a chance to really make a run here in an Eastern Conference where we saw the two teams that we expected all season last year, the Cavs and the Celtics, not meet in the conference finals. Why not the Knicks this year? Why can't they make it all the way to the finals? Almost did it last year. I think they're firmly in the mix, and that's where you got to be careful with tinkering too much at the trade deadline. But I like this team. I like the way the rebounding is really starting to solidify. Cat has been a monster on the boards lately. Mitch Robinson, man, I love his game. I love the physicality that he brings. I love the intensity on the offensive glass. I think this team's going to be a real problem for anybody in the postseason.
I think this team is going to be, I think they're going to figure it all out by the time the postseason runs. I mean, look, you got a new head coach in Mike Brown, still trying to tinker and implement guys and implement his system into this roster. So it's not going to be a picture perfect, runway for everything. Even though at the beginning of the season, everything looked good, Knicks did have a softer schedule to start the season. So things were starting to formulate, it looked like, and then turn of the calendar year. I mean, prior to, you had Spurs, you had Pistons, you had all these top teams, right? Even Philly in there. And the Knicks just started to spiral. But now they're on a 5-game winning streak. Looks like they're starting to buy into what Mike Brown is preaching. These guys are starting to come together. What it seemed like all these guys could not be around each other based on what was being said in reports. So nice to see these guys gelling. But I'm with you, Trevor, where I think just give these guys some time, man. And look, it's year 2 of this roster. You can't really, as a front office, it would say a lot if you did anything major by the trade deadline. So with that being said, since you are the host of the Front Office Show, shout out to my guy Keith as well. He was also on the NBA Report with CP a few days ago. So shout out to that show. If you haven't seen it, make sure to go check it out. Should the Knicks make a move for Giannis by the deadline? Or what should they do here? If you're the GM of the Knicks, what should they do?
It's tough because on one hand, you look at the team, you look at the chemistry, you look at the way the pieces fit together right now. I think they are starting to really build some of that synergy that you need in the postseason. But the other hand, the other side of the argument is it's Giannis, right? I mean, we're talking about a top 3, top 4, whatever player in the NBA. We're talking about an all-time great, multi-time MVP. Like, if you're going to break apart your roster and do something drastic, wouldn't that be the kind of guy you would do it for? Now, we're probably talking about something with Cat plus. I mean, maybe you got to send somebody like Mikal Bridges over to Portland to try to free up some of Milwaukee's own picks. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. You are reshaping things on the fly. And if you tinker too much, you could take a team that is right now certainly in the conversation to potentially win the whole thing, and you can accidentally move them outside of that. I could certainly tell you all about that. I mean, my Lakers took themselves from being a championship contender to decidedly not being that by trading for one Russell Westbrook years ago. Not that Giannis is Russ, but sometimes you could take something that's not broken, try to fix it, and actually make it worse. So I think the Knicks have to be very, very careful with this here. It's Giannis. That's exciting. There's a lot of star power that he brings. He's an incredible player. I like his potential fit with Jalen Brunson and what he could bring to the Knicks. But what you got to be careful at is that you don't leave yourself with a roster that's so depleted after making the trade that you kind of wind up taking this year off because you just don't have the right pieces around Brunson and Giannis in order to make it worth it. So I think if you're going to do this, tread very, very carefully. If you can find a way to make it work, fantastic, but you got to make sure you still have the roster around those guys to still go win the whole damn thing.
Well said, Trevor. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We've been having, CP and I have been having this conversation on post game a lot. You know, what do you do to go get, what do you do? Do you go get Giannis? How much do you give to go get Giannis? And the big word or the big couple of words that are out there is like, you know, you make the trade for him now and you figure it out later. The figure it out later part is, to me, where I think that's the complexity of it, is right. Where are you just trading Cat and McBride? Then it's like, oh, okay, you're now like a center that probably fits Giannis away, a stretch five at that point. That's probably something I could say, yeah, you could go figure it out. There's guys out there that you could probably go make some trades if you, especially after this season, if you did do it by the deadline, get 2 draft picks, you could dangle those out there, or dangle, I should say, you could dangle those out there. Maybe you could add somebody else to it and try to get like a low end stretch 5 to pair next to Giannis. But if you deplete the roster, say if like you give up everything and next thing you know, you throw Kuzma in the trade and now you're throwing out OG or Bridges, now it gets a little bit more complex. Now that I'm like, I don't know if that's the trade where you say, all right, get him now, and then you think about it later. Now you just depleted the entire walls, the foundation of what you created here. And I think that'd be a little bit more difficult. So when you hear someone say, hey, you trade for him now and you figure it out later, is that the same logic that you're thinking of? Or like, how would you think about it?
I think if it was a few years ago, if Giannis was 27, something like that, then maybe you do just say, yeah, look, we've got such a long runway. Let's just do it now and then figure out the pieces later. But Giannis, where he's at now, the calf injuries, not that they should necessarily give you great pause from doing a deal. You just want to be careful with it. If you give up everything to go get him, and the pieces don't fit together right, you may not have a whole lot of flexibility to go make those subsequent moves that you need to in order to put the puzzle pieces together. And how long is your runway with Giannis right now? You know, I'm not saying that he's coming to the end of his career. He's far from it, but you don't want to sacrifice a year with him because you don't have the right pieces around him, because it's not the same runway as when he was in his mid-20s. And certainly the Bucks weren't going to move him at that point, but your window is a little bit shorter if you're going to try to make this run with Giannis right now. So it's got to be the right deal. It's got to be the perfect trade in order to make it happen. And then from the Bucks side of things, like if it is a deal that makes sense for the Knicks, does it make sense for the Bucks? Probably not really, right? I mean, do the Bucks want Cat? I wouldn't. If I'm the Bucks, I wouldn't want to add Cat to my roster. I want to tear the whole thing down if I'm getting ready Giannis. I need to get my picks back if I'm Milwaukee. I have to figure out a way to do that. And I need all the draft capital and young talent that I can possibly get. Adding Cat doesn't do anything for me if that is my goal. And who knows if that's ultimately what the Bucks do, but that's what I would do if I was running the Milwaukee Bucks. So then it gets complicated where you got to find another team that's going to take Cat on, or you got to figure out a way to get some of those Bucks picks. It's a challenge to put all of this together with the clock ticking ahead of the trade deadline. Look, if it's something where you could really do, and the Bucks will take it, Cat and McBride or something like that, fantastic. Yeah, let's go. You've got enough assets left over. Go make the deal. If it's something where you got to give up Bridges in order to land extra pieces that the Bucks are going to want, if the Bucks say we don't want Cat, we got to figure out a third team, a fourth team, whatever, to make all this happen. That's where you start saying, okay, let's maybe pump the brakes on all this. We can revisit this summer. We've got a real shot at a championship this year. Let's allow this team to see this through. And then if Cat is still a Milwaukee Buck in June and in July, then we can have that conversation then.
Very well said, Trevor. Very well said. And look, it's all about what can the Knicks stomach at this point, just because it's a lot of assets to be giving up. And speaking about stomaching things, hey, let's shout out to our sponsor, Z-Biotics. All right, the holidays are done, but doesn't mean gatherings dinners, and celebrations are done, okay? For a lot of us, a couple of drinks is still in the picture. But we all still have things to do the next morning. Workouts, errands, work, family commitments. That's why I use ZBiotics, pre-alcohol probiotic drink. This is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed by PhD scientists. Here's the science. When you drink, your body creates an unwanted byproduct in the gut. ZBiotics is engineered to break that byproduct down so you can wake up feeling good and ready to go. Just make it your first drink of the night. Take care of yourself, hydrate, and you're setting yourself up for success. I used it before a recent night out, and the next morning, I was up early, got my workout in, and I got work done. No issues. It made a noticeable difference. So if you want to feel your best during the busiest time of the year, grab some ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/KFTV and use code KFTV for 15% off your first order. That's zbiotics.com/KFTV. Make the most of every toast this year, okay? Just don't forget ZBiotics. All right, man, let's get back to it. We got Trevor Lane on the other side. He is the host of Lakers Nation and the Front Office Show. Hit that thumbs up button for your boy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Now let's talk about the Lakers, Trevor, because Lakers have been interesting, man. They are what? I think they're still fourth last time I checked. Fifth now. They're now fifth in the Western Conference, but they're still hanging in there. As you did mention, it was the day right after we did a preview that Luka got traded to the Lakers, and I was like, I think Shams got hacked, but he did not get hacked. But how's life been, man, with Luka, LeBron? I know LeBron didn't start this season. Austin Reeves seems to be taking another step forward this year. What has been the status of your Lakers on the season so far?
You know, the Lakers are a very difficult team to pin down because they have been. It hasn't been reported a bunch, but I mean, this team has been decimated by injuries all season long. I mean, LeBron was not available to start the season. Austin Reeves is out now. He may come back for this next. He's supposed to come back sometime during this road trip, and there's only 2 games left. It's the Knicks and the Nets, and that's it on this massive 8-game road trip for the Lakers here that they're on, the final 2 games here. But they're difficult to pin down because they just, every single time they seem like they're going to get guys healthy, boom, more players go out. And so they've been absolutely decimated by injuries. LeBron, Austin, and Luka have played a total of about, I think it's 292 possessions together all season, and that's it. So we don't know for sure what this team really can be when they're full strength at this point. I think we could say they're probably a tier or 2 below the top, the true contenders in the NBA. There are too many weaknesses that stand out, particularly when we look at the athleticism deficit that they've got defensively. They've got some concerns there, but there are also nights where, you know, Luka is just amazing. He is one of the very best players in the NBA. He does things that very few other players can do. Just the other night against the Washington Wizards, it was against the Wizards, but still, he had a triple-double in the first half. The first half, he had a triple-double. Unreal stuff that he's doing. Austin Reeves has been fantastic. Hopefully, he's back sooner rather than later. And LeBron doesn't have it every single night, but when he does, man, he still has some spring in his step, and he can do some incredible things. So there's a lot of question marks around this club, but given the context of how injured they've been over the course of the season, I think you got to be happy that they're above 500, that they're currently sitting in the 5th seed in the West.
So what's the biggest question mark for your team, Trevor? Is it what Rich Paul said about trading Austin Reeves and trying to get like a bona fide center? I think that's what he said, right? Trying to trade for a center or somebody else to add to the roster.
He was talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. Going after a trade for him, and Austin's agents had to talk to Rich and get that all cleared up and everything. It's a weird thing that's blurring the line between, is he an analyst, is he an agent, is he speaking for LeBron, is he not? And anyway, that's been a whole bizarre situation. But for the biggest question around the Lakers is simply, what is it that they're trying to do? Are they building for the future around Luka? Are they trying to win right now? I think ideally they want to do both. There are clear deficiencies on this team that I believe will keep them from getting themselves seriously into the contender conversation right now. But are they willing to give up the future assets needed in order to get themselves into that conversation, or to add those pieces if they even can? Right now, they have 1 tradable first-round pick. They have 1 tradable second-round pick, and they have some expiring contracts they can potentially use. Now, people will say trade Austin Reeves. He doesn't have any value to most teams. And the reason, and not that he has none, but not what you would expect. The Lakers, if they wanted to trade Austin Reeves right now, they absolutely could. There would be teams that would take him. Lakers fans would riot if they saw the return, because he's a free agent in July. Teams are not going to give up a significant amount for a player that can leave in just a few months. So there's not a whole lot that the Lakers have trade chip wise right now. The challenge is they also have potentially 3 first-round picks available to them this summer when we get to right around the draft. So do you wait till you have more assets available? Do you make a move right now to try to add defense, athleticism, the things that they're lacking? Can you even add those things with the assets that you have when everybody in the league is after the same thing the Lakers are? Those are the big questions around this club. We all know I think they're a piece or two short currently to get where they want to go. Can they add those pieces? Does it even make sense to add those pieces right now? And then what happens with the future with LeBron James? Is he gone after this summer? A lot of things still hovering over the Lakers here as we get past the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, LeBron in the last year of his contract. That's that's a looming question too, as you mentioned. I mean, where do you see this team going with so little assets? Are they going to make a move this year? Is it just, hey, let's play it out and let's just, if we get far in the postseason, potentially second round with this roster, we're happy. And then next year we really make a move because I don't know if you guys really want to bring back LeBron? Like, I know he's got the name power. As you mentioned, on some nights, he still looks like that guy, but wouldn't you want to upgrade and start shifting to this being Luka's team? Like, what's the outlook now?
Yeah, I think the process of turning this into, and everything that's being done now has to be done through the lens of what works with Luka long term. But the process of getting there is not going to be a one window step, right? It's not going to be a trade deadline. You make a couple of moves and boom, you have the perfect team around Luka. It's going to be trade deadline. It's going to be this coming summer, maybe the next trade deadline. Like, it's going to take a while to add the kind of pieces that you need around Luka Dončić. Now, they made some moves over the summer, adding DeAndre Ayton. He's been okay. Probably not the long-term fit, but he's been fine, as a big for the Lakers. You bring in Marcus Smart. He's been along the lines of the type of player you need. Jake LaRavia has been along the lines of the type of player that you're looking for, but you need more two-way players. You need guys who can play both sides of the ball. The Lakers for years have been cursed with players that play one side of the ball, but not the other. Offense, no defense, defense, no offense. And that has been something that's tripped them up. It's going to take a while to find the kind of guys that they need to put around Luka. But I'd like to see steps towards that team. You're not going to get to the finish line at the trade deadline this year, but you want to see progress towards that. They can be one of the biggest cap space teams in the NBA this summer, but that's going to depend a lot on what happens with LeBron James. And I think what's going to happen is the Lakers, they have to ask themselves the big question, do we want LeBron back? And LeBron has to ask himself, do I want to come back? And if both of those are a yes, LeBron could retire, LeBron could go elsewhere, the Lakers could look elsewhere. But if both of those are a yes, I think what we're going to see the Lakers do is go spend some money in free agency, see what they can find out there on the market. Maybe they use it to help facilitate a trade, and then go to LeBron and say, hey, this is what we have left over. This is the team we've put together. Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to come back? But we can't give you that max contract. I think the days of LeBron being a max player are gone. And so we'll see, do they stay together this summer or not? I think it's going to depend on, number one, do they want to? But then number two, what do the finances look like once the Lakers make the other moves that they need to make? What's left over? And is that enough for LeBron?
Now, last thing before we start getting into the game itself, do you think Reeves is part of that picture? Because he's got one more year on his deal next year. And with, even though things had to get squashed with what Rich Paul said, is that the guy that you want to be the co-star next to Luka?
Yeah, so Austin's got a player option for next year. It's well known. He's opting out of that. He will not pick up that player option. He's going to hit free agency. The Lakers did offer him an extension over the summer, but it was just a formality. Because he's on such a low contract as is, he can't, his extension isn't enough to pay him market value. So, of course, they offered it knowing that he was going to decline that extension offer. Now he will hit free agency this summer. Everything Austin has said, he said it to me, that he wants to be a Laker for life. He does not want to play for anybody else. He's wanted to be with this team. He had an opportunity to get drafted way back in the day and declined so that he could go join the Lakers. I think it matters to him to be a Laker, and as long as they're willing to pay the right price, I don't see him going anywhere. As far as is he the guy, I don't think the Lakers have any interest in losing him. Is he the guy they want to put next to Luka? There were a lot of questions about that over the summer. A lot of Lakers fans questioned defensively. Can you get to the level you need to if you have Austin and Luka as two of your building block guys and they got to be on the floor together? It's a small sample size, and I will learn more in the playoffs. But so far, the answer has been yes. So far, Austin and Luka have both been significantly better when they've shared the floor, and they've complemented each other very, very well. Now, you have to build very carefully if you're going to build around the two of them. The rest of the guys that are out there on the floor with them need to have a certain level of athleticism, need to have a certain level of defensive acumen. But ultimately, what we've seen so far with Austin and Luka on the floor has given, I think, more optimism that that can be the duo that you're building around here for the future.
There you have it, people. There you have it. Luka and Austin as potentially the duo moving forward for the Los Angeles Lakers. Once LeBron decides, hey, man, I'm hanging it up. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Trevor Lane. He covers the Lakers for Lakers Nation, and he's also the host of the Front Office Show, so make sure to go check him out there. And look, let me give a shout out to another sponsor, Rula, okay? Let me tell you something, people. We got to keep our mentals right moving forward, all right? And life gets real at times, work, family, finances, the constant grind. We talk a lot about basketball stress, but real life stress, that's a different level. And I'll be honest, therapy has helped a lot of people close to me to get back on track. Friends, teammates, family. Sometimes you just need someone who can help you sort things out. The only problem? It's hard to find a therapist. It takes forever, and the cost can be crazy. That's why I really like Rula and what Rula is doing. Rula makes therapy simple and accessible. They work with most major insurance plans, and sessions can cost as little as $15, literally the price of a quick lunch in the city. They've got over 15,000 licensed therapists, fully vetted, and they match you with someone based on your needs. No guessing, no long wait lists. You can get an appointment as soon as the next day. If you've been thinking about therapy or even just curious, Rula removes the excuses. Go to rula.com/KFTV and get started today. That's RULA.com/KFTV. Take the first step. Take care of yourself. Okay, let's get into the real thing now, Trevor. The game tomorrow, because I was doing some research yesterday on post game, and the Knicks have not beaten the Lakers at home since 21. So that's a little troublesome, man. We gotta change those things, man. Got to change that feeling with is LeBron's gonna be playing tomorrow too, right? As well as Luka.
Yeah. Now the official injury report not out as we're speaking here, should be out pretty soon. But I have no reason to think that LeBron would be out or Luka, and we'll see. Austin Reeves may be back, but yeah, should be a relatively clean injury report for the Lakers. They have a few guys who are a little banged up, but I would expect LeBron and Luka to play.
Okay. Gotcha. And for Austin Reeves, I do have him on my fantasy basketball team. So please come back, because my shooting guard position is suffering mightily. Please come back soon. But hey, we got a good game tomorrow. Knicks, as I said, are on a 5-game winning streak. As you mentioned, the Lakers are on their 8-game road trip, which when you said that is insanity to me. I'm looking at this road trip right now, and it's to start from Denver to then go to the Clippers, then go to Dallas, then go to Chicago, then Cleveland, Washington, and end your trip against the Knicks and the Nets. That is, whoever did that scheduling needs to be checked, man, because that is too much back and forth. Too much back and forth.
The Spurs have their rodeo road trip. This is the Lakers Grammy road trip that they endure every year at the end of January and into February. It's a lot. It was when the Lakers got, just destroyed by the Cavs the other night. And after the game, Donovan Mitchell asked Luka, said, "Hey, where are you going to next?" And Luka was like, "I don't know, man. Like, I have no idea." At this point, they've been on the road for a while. I think it is getting to them a little bit, but they did look pretty sharp. It was against the Wizards, but they looked sharp last game against the Wizards. So we'll see what the mental status is of the Lakers heading into this matchup with the Knicks.
Okay. Now, earlier in the show, you talked about the Knicks showing off their rebounding and cat, and obviously Mitchell Robinson and even Josh Hart being at the forefront of that. Got to talk about the second chance opportunities in this one, because Knicks are number 4 right now when it comes to second chance opportunities, and the Lakers are 24th. Not a great team when it comes to getting boards and creating second chances for their team. However, conversely, they are in the top 10 when it comes to limiting opponents from getting second chance opportunities. So where do you think about that? I think this is going to be a big key, coming down to rebounds and who can create those opportunities if off of misses.
Absolutely. And so the Lakers, their defensive rebound percentage on the season is not bad. I mean, they're top 10. They're 10th in the NBA. In terms of volume, it's low. They're 24th in the NBA in defensive rebounds per game. But that said, I think it's going to come down to DeAndre Ayton and what version of DeAndre Ayton do we get? We saw DeAndre Ayton in October and November, was very motivated, very energized, did a great job, outdueled Rudy Gobert, outdueled Anthony Davis in games like big matchups, and he was the better big out there on the floor in those matchups. Lately, though, we've seen a different version of DA. Now, he had an excellent game against the Wizards. That is against the Wizards and Alex Sarr, but still, he was just feasting on lob dunks all night. He was a rim protector. He was grabbing boards. It was one of his better performances. But we've also seen Ayton in the big matchups where he's got top flight opponents against Houston on Christmas Day, against Jalen Duren and the Detroit Pistons a couple of weeks ago. He can disappear. He can disappear. And so that's the big question going into this one. What version of DeAndre Ayton are we going to get? We know the Knicks are going to have an advantage on the offensive glass and on the boards in general. It's going to be, can DeAndre Ayton and the rest of the Lakers, it's going to take a team effort, but what version of DA shows up for this one? Can he at least chip into that advantage a little bit there and not allow those second chance opportunities? That's where, when you get a team that's taking 10 more, 15 more shots than you do over the course of a game because of offensive rebounds and turnovers, another key stat to keep an eye on. That's where the math gets really hard in order to win a game. So DA, he's going to be critical. Which version shows up, you never really can tell.
Okay. And outside of just protecting the paint, another area I'm looking at is 3-point defense. And especially for the New York Knicks. Knicks, not the best. Their defense has been better as of late, holding teams to under 100 points. However, the Knicks still give up a little too many open threes. They're not really closing out because they're too focused on protecting the paint. Now, the Lakers, not one of the best 3-point shooting teams out there. From what I'm seeing right here, they don't really put up a lot of attempts. They're closer to the bottom half of the league. However, they are middle of the pack based on percentage. So I'm wondering if the Knicks can actually maintain in this one, because when they just let go of the rope from guarding three, even the worst teams who are bad at shooting threes look like they are prolific. So I'm looking at the 3-point defense from the New York side of things in this one.
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir on that. When you talk about letting go to the rope from behind the arc, the Lakers are 26th in the NBA in opponents' 3-point percentage. So and the Knicks being one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, that's going to be, I think, a big advantage. In fact, they're number 3 in the league in 3-point percentage. That should be a big advantage in the favor of the Knicks. As far as the Lakers, their 3-point defense, it does get better when you get the more recent rotations that we've seen from the Lakers, where they're playing more Jared Vanderbilt, more Marcus Smarts, and more defensive-oriented units. But the Lakers can also be a bit undisciplined with their rotations, and especially off of offensive rebounds, which the Knicks are one of the better, I believe, the top 3 in the NBA in offensive rebounds. What do those create? Offensive boards? Well, they create 2 things. They create putbacks at the rim, but also wide open threes. And so with that, kind of bleeds into our prior talking point here of the offensive rebounding. But the Knicks, even in the half court, even if it's not off of an offensive board, their ability to drive and kick, particularly the Lakers' perimeter defense, has not been good at keeping opponents out of the paint. If they get a lot of drive and kick action, drive, kick, 1-2 swing passes, they're going to get open looks from behind the arc, and that could present some problems for the Lakers tonight. So I do think it's an exploitable area of the Lakers' defense, certainly off of the offensive glass. The other key to watch is transition. We've seen teams all season long that have been running on the Lakers, even off of made baskets, and they're able to create a lot of corner threes out of those situations. So that's another area where the Knicks might be able to exploit the Lakers' struggles. And a lot of it comes down to, as I talked about previously, the Lakers have an athleticism deficit on their roster, and that makes it difficult for them to get out and cover the entire floor the way they need to.
It's like you're reading my mind, Trevor, because I was about to bring up transition scoring, because the Knicks are not great defending in transition either. They're not necessarily the fastest team out there too. So I think this is going to be a great, who wins this matchup? Because I think outside of the rebounding, if someone should just get the easy points, right, and just create that separation and get on those type of runs, I think that's what's going to translate into victories as well. And we saw that recently for the Knicks against Portland, where they just manhandled them the other night. They were able to get out in transition and really just take advantage and just make life easy for everybody. And it was like the most beautiful offense that we've seen from this team in such a long time. So I want to see if they can be able to do that one. Now, outside of the key stats, there is a key matchup. Obviously, these guys used to be teammates. I'm looking forward to see how these guys, rise to the challenge. I was sad that I didn't get to see Brunson play against Steph when they were on their West Coast trip because Brunson got injured. But he gets to go against his former teammate. You know, this is Luka's former co-star and Jalen Brunson. Now these guys run their own shows in two major markets. This is gonna be a good one, man, because I feel like both of them play the exact same style brand of basketball. Luka being, in my opinion, a better facilitator, obviously a good rebounder too, especially with that height. But I just feel like that the way that they score is just very slow, methodical, gets to their point, gets to their spots in the paint, and that really creates more for their team. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how these guys perform. And look, Luka's lost a lot of weight. Brunson lost some weight to just keep up with Mike Brown's system. These guys are playing at two high levels right now on the season. It's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got two guys, and I like the way you mentioned that they're guys who kind of go at their own pace, right? It's very difficult to speed up either one of them. They're going to read the floor very, very well. I'm curious to see what type of defenses each side throws at each other. Do the Knicks play a lot of drop here against Luka that has had some success against the Lakers in the past? Luka tends to read the blitzing defense fairly well. Do the Lakers try to blitz Jalen Brunson? It's something they have done a little bit more recently. How do they handle those situations? That's going to be an interesting chess match. But these are two great players that get to their spots, that use their body, use control. They aren't necessarily athletically on a different level than everybody that they're going up against, but they're so good at finding their angles and finding their ways to get to where they need to go. I think it's going to be a heck of a battle. I don't necessarily expect, well, actually, I guess you could switch hunt Luka quite a bit with Brunson, and you could see the matchup one-on-one there. And so that'll be interesting to see. We do see Luka get switch hunted a lot. And I guess conversely, the Lakers can try to do the same going the other way. So maybe they will actually wind up matched up against each other from time to time, but it's going to be fun seeing the former Mavs teammates out there on the floor together. Both guys so good, so talented, so crafty. I think it's going to be a lot of fun seeing this one.
For sure. And then just going down the rest of the rotation, right? And just think about the matchups. I'm thinking OG's going to get LeBron. You probably put, Hart on Luka just for physicality purposes. You leave Brunson on Rui. Who's playing shooting guard right now if Austin's not playing? Is it Marcus Smart or is it Gabe Vincent?
Yeah, it would be Marcus Smart would be in there at the two. You'd have The starting lineup for the Lakers has been Smart, Luka, LaRavia, LeBron, and Ayton.
Okay, so then I would then put Brunson on Smart, and then probably Bridges on Rue, and then Ayton and Cat just would be that matchup right there. So that's what I'm looking at for tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that just as a stylistic and just lineup approach, seeing how that all plays out tomorrow. And out of those guys, outside of the stars, who would be your X factor for the Lakers that you had to depend on in tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Lakers do on the glass against the Knicks, particularly if the Knicks are playing Cat in a 5-out system. That really gave the Lakers a lot of problems when they were playing against Cleveland, and they went 5-out at some times when they pulled Jared Allen. We've seen a few other teams that have given the Lakers some troubles when they do have that big that can go space the floor for them. So I'm curious to see what the Lakers do there. But in terms of X factors in this game, there's a number of guys we can look at. Rui Hachimura was my X factor for the last game, and I hate to pick the same guy, but I do think it's going to be Rui Hachimura because he's not a big rebounder for the Lakers. He can have some bigger rebounding games, but this is a game where you're going to need everybody, even the guys that you don't count on for boards, to really step up. Rui is also a guy that can knock down open looks from deep. So if they do get the Knicks defense to collapse, Rui can knock those shots down. It's going to be important that the Lakers, with OG defending LeBron, that's going to be a challenging matchup. Josh Hart, we all know how good he is. He's going to be a challenging matchup. It's going to be on the other guys to step up. So Rui coming off the bench for the Lakers right now, can he step in and give you 15 points off the bench and maybe 6 or 7 rebounds or something like that? I shouldn't have said that one, but what can Rui Hachimura do on the glass for you as well? Not normally a big rebounder, but I think it's the type of game where you're going to need guys like a Rui Hachimura to step up. So Rui will be my X factor for the Lakers.
I like that. Rui Hachimura. I'm going to go with the guy who I think is going to be matching up against him, and that's Mikal Bridges. Mikal had a really good game 2 nights ago, dropped 30 points, and then only had 10 points, against the Trailblazers on Friday. But I think in this matchup, since you mentioned LeBron, he's going to be guarding most likely OG as well. I just don't expect OG to be putting up the same amount of points because, look, it's going to be putting a lot of effort just to guard LeBron James. He can't really take a night off. LeBron is still savvy, crafty. Whether or not he's scoring, he can create for others, and OG is going to have his handful just guarding him and then playing help defense too while he's out there and LeBron is not out there. Got Hart. Hart's going to bring that energy, but guarding Luka is going to be a whole task. So then when I keep going down the list, I'm looking at Mikal Bridges then, and I'm going to need him to be aggressive and not just necessarily pirouette and just knock down mid-range. That's nice. He can do those things, but I'm going to need you to get into the teeth of the defense as well and finish around the cup and bring that defensive intensity as well as play off ball. So I'm going with Mikal Bridges as my X factor. So it'll be Rui and Mikal for tomorrow for the X factors.
The Wings got it.
The Wings got it, baby. Trevor, I appreciate you coming through as always. Please let the people know where they can find you if you got any work up and coming we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can find all my Lakers stuff over on Lakers Nation. Of course, I also have the Lakers Collective that we host a couple of times a week. You guys can check that out. We do a live show a few times a week there. The NBA Front Office show. We're talking a lot of trade rumors and things like that there, as well as the Basketball Bulletin. I'm so busy these days doing all this different stuff, but Basketball Bulletin, we're breaking down news in more shorter form every single day as well. So you can find me all those places. If you want to find me over on X, I'm at Trevor Lane.
There you have it. Appreciate you coming through, Trevor. And appreciate everybody else for tapping in for another Game of the Week preview. Make sure to stay locked in for tomorrow's game, Knicks versus Lakers at Madison Square Garden. We got two major franchises playing tomorrow, so make sure to stay locked in. We're going to have play-by-play, so make sure to check out CK2K for that, and make sure to tap in for post-game live as well. And shout out to our sponsors for today. We got Ruler once again. Make sure if you need therapy, people, go to ruler.com/KFTV. Take the first step in taking care of yourself. So go there if you need help. And then on top of that, make sure to go support our sponsor, Z-Biotics. Okay, make sure to drink Z-Biotics before a night out, so that way you can wake up and feel refreshed in the morning after a night of drinking. You can go to zbiotics.com/KFTV to get 15% off your first order. Shout out to our sponsors today. Appreciate everyone for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. Shout out to some of our franchise channel members. I see My 2 Cents in here. Shout out to you. Shout out to, who else? We got Janal Toure. Appreciate you. We got Zach from New York to L.A. There you go, Zach. You got to represent New York out there while you're in L.A. Appreciate everybody for coming through as always, and we'll catch you on the other side. All right, everyone. We out.